Is it true you haven't heard from God, or have you actually heard from God, but it wasn't what you were actually expecting to hear, so you didn't recognize it as something you actually heard? Yesterday, I was sitting with my sisters in Christ, and we were just seeking God on what our name is. What does God call us? What does He say about us? All the things. And I immediately noticed that God spoke to me about something, and I know He spoke to me because I wrote it down. But I literally sat with the Lord for about 15 minutes and wrestled with that word. I was like, no, that's not it. That's not what you said, because this is not what I remembered you to have said in the past. And it wasn't until I switched up my position and I was like, okay, God, what does this mean? Instead of me rejecting what He had already shown me, I asked Him, what do you mean by this? And from there, I had pages of notes, God just downloading what that word meant. And He had to, in that moment, draw my attention back to the fact it wasn't that I didn't speak to you when you first asked me. Before you even opened your mouth to ask, I was already speaking and giving you an answer. But you rejected what I gave you. And it wasn't until you were like wanting to ask me what it meant that you were able to accept that maybe there was more I wanted to say. And I say this to you to say, the God has spoken to you about something, and you may have rejected it. You may have wrote it off as like, that's not what you want to hear. That's not what you were looking to hear. That's not what you expected to hear, right? But God is waiting for you to be like, what does that mean? God is waiting for you to follow up with more questions. And when you ask a question, instead of rejecting what it is that He said, that is then when He can fully paint the picture as to why He said what He said and the way which He said why He said it. If that makes sense.